the songster, playing my songs for you. I'm the songster, any old style will do.
it up for Abby Becker for and Will. Good to see all 187 of you here tonight. Welcome to the Songster series. If you haven't, how many of you have been to the Songster series before? Raise your hand. All right, all right. Well, good. Well, we hope you come back. This is a series that I started with a guy named Warner Williams. Anybody know Warner Williams? He's from Tacoma Park, Maryland, and he is known as the last living songster. What's a songster? Apparently, that is a person who sings songs, and lots of different kinds of songs. They're sometimes termed as like human jukeboxes, right? And if you actually think about a time before there were jukeboxes and before there was recorded music, and you wanted to hear a song, a specific kind of song, somebody had to play it for you. And there were people who were out on the street and picnics and all kinds of stuff that could play that for you and earn a lot of money. Knowing a wide range of music, and we're influenced by a wide range of music from many different places and many different styles. And that idea that one individual can hold within them so many different styles sort of disappeared as the music industry grew. And so this term songster is actually somewhat fairly new, as if the idea that someone with a wide range is a different kind of person. But this series actually is trying to show you that there are actually songsters among us right now, including Abby Becker. So, what's the name of that song?
That song is called The Bottle.
Yeah. So that's a song with your project Corazon?
Yeah, that's a song with my new band, which is called Corazon, which is about addiction. It's actually about, I went on a really terrible date. Really bad, and like
that's how they usually.
Yeah. And you know that book, like the Pickup Artist?
I know of that book.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it. No, yeah, it's a compliment. It's like it's like this whole like how to get girls to sleep with you kind of thing by like cutting them down, and I got like someone tried to do that to me. Who like also was like a pretty obvious like alcoholic, but the good thing is that I wrote this song after that experience, so something came out of it. That's the cool thing is like obviously it's just like my imagination of like what someone's story might be, you know, when you. Like, I like to think like, I was looking at my song list and I was like, okay, every one of these songs is a love song. But like, I like to play around with like, what you can love, like, whether it's like, and like addiction is a form of love, I think. Maybe dark form.
It's pretty dark, yeah.
But it's also, it's also relevant to being around a person that maybe isn't good for you.
Sure.
But you feel something, like some kind of drive towards them. Yeah, that's what that song is about.
I can dig it. So the style that you've got going on is, I'd say, we're in an acoustic setting. You're playing an acoustic guitar, but talk about the band's influences. Oh, we should back up
Yeah.
first. You have a recording that you're working on,
That's true.
With Corazon.
Yeah.
And first of all, let's talk about the lineup of the band.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So the band is me. I'm playing electric guitar and singing and writing music, and then my good friend Patrick McMahon, who's at band practice right now, which is why he's not here, is playing modular synth, keyboard, and bass. He's busy. And and my other good friend Adam Scott Farkas plays the drums. So it's a trio, so we're nimble.
Yeah. That's a good band.
But the cool thing about the band is that the modular synth is actually, you could consider it an analog instrument. So we're like trying to ride this place that's right before like the computer invaded music. And like I'm using effects pedals, so you could say like they have a chip in them. But the modular synth, like everything we do with that is in real time, and we don't always know what's going to happen. So like he's sampling my voice and feeding it back through, so it's like makes all kinds of crazy noises and effects, and like he'll play it forward, backward, and we never know what's going to come out. And so it's like kind of organic in that way, because I'm giving him a send and he's playing my voice, and then I'm reacting to it, and that's all happening live. So it's a dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you record that? You're recording.
Yeah, we did record. We recorded it out at a cabin in Nanjemoy, Maryland. Rich's cabin.
Where is that?
Charles County,
Okay.
Southern Maryland, middle of nowhere. And so we just brought out like a ton of gear and set up, and it sounded way better than we expected, and now we're mixing and
No pressure. Any.
April 28th
All right.
is our release party,
Awesome.
so it'll be done by then.
You can say where it is.
At the Mercury Theater in Station North. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
I grew up on Klezmer music, which is Eastern European Jewish folk music, and which you might not know because I'm not actively playing it right now, if you follow my career very closely. But Klezmer, the cool thing about Eastern Europe is that it gave me, that a lot of the music from that area has a very free sense of time, and so I've brought that into what I do now, and like that's why I work with the same drummer all the time, because it was so frustrating for him to figure it out. I don't want to make anyone else do that. And he really got it. So like what you think about, what I like to think about is a dance. And in dancing, like there are certain moments as a musician when you want to pick up someone's foot and set it back down again. And what happens in the middle can be like all kinds of different, can take all kinds of different amount of time. And so if you like kind of push to create like a push and a pull, rather than being metronomic, gives it like a human element. And so I wanted to just like share a little sample of, this is Josh Horowitz, virtuosic accordion player, with the little song. What's it called? What did I say? My mom can fix my Yiddish here. Sie scheuen farfallen. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Let's hear it. So see if you can hear like that, that there's a lot of space and it's not straightforward. Yes.
Tom, roll tape. there's a lot of push and pull going on there
Yeah.
with the tempo. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
and then it goes back.
Yeah, and it, to me, like, it feels like somebody's talking to you. And that, and my Klezmer teacher, Deborah Strauss, or one of them, who's a really fantastic violinist, she would always have us sing when we were learning. So we learned by ear, and you learn a song, and first you sing it, and you don't play until you can really sing it. And when you play, especially with the violin, which is such a, it's right in the range of where we speak. So it's a very vocal instrument, and you try to emulate the voice, which becomes a really musical way of playing.
I heard some hiccups going on sometimes in there.
Which is another thing that we do in speaking.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I think when I was listening to your teacher Deborah Strauss, she was doing that on the violin as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just one instrument that does this. So I don't know. I'm not going to sing it for you. I'm not going to sing a hiccup.
It's a cracked, which means a sigh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what's cool about that too, which I'm just kind of nerding out right now, but it's an accordion, so it's just one guy, and he's playing his left hand against his right hand, and the bellows in the middle is the breath. My dad was an accordion player and collector, and so like that's a very interesting tension, I think, and takes actually a lot of discipline to be able to do one thing on one side and another thing on the other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach.
Yeah.
I'm learning. So you got to be exposed to Klezmer through camp.
Yeah.
In New York State, right?
In the Catskills.
Yeah. And so your parents sent you there, or
We all went.
You all went. All of you together went.
We all went to Klez camp in the Catskills, like the Borscht Belt, and over Christmas. So like I didn't know the Chinese food thing. Like I didn't even. We just like. This time between Christmas and New Year's was when I was like the most Jewish out of the entire family.
It's a good time.
You know, I started out, I must have been like 3, 4, yeah. When I first went, the first time I was in the Chicks, which is
She's
like,
looking at her mother for reference, by the way.
yeah. Baby band, and they tuned my violin, which is a 16th size, like this big, to the 2 notes that I had to play in the band, so I could do it.
Was she good? She was always good, right? Yeah, she was excellent from the beginning. Yeah, we know.
And it's just like completely immersive, like people speaking Yiddish, and you know, you stay up all night dancing, and as a teenager you do really avant-garde theater, which puppets. Your parents don't understand, so you feel really great about that.
So this was new for the entire, well, not, it was a new thing for your parents, or newer, rather.
Right, so I think that, Mom. So I was raised in this environment to a certain extent, whereas my parents found it more so as adults. Is that accurate? Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
So your parents are musicians as well, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So Mom.
Roz. Yeah.
Hi, Roz. So what do you play? Mandolin. That's interesting. And your dad?
My dad played my dad was a pianist, a really excellent pianist, and then he played accordion for like the last 20 years of his life or so. Yeah.
Okay. So he was in a piano conservatory
For a year.
for a little while. Yeah.
He went off to conservatory and he was like, I'm as good as most everyone, but like the 2 or 3 people who are better are like way, way better. and so he did, and he didn't like the music biz. Right, but he did make a living as a musician. He played Chicago Blues in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia blues too?
No, Chicago. In Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Bad joke. And he told me he got to play with
Otis Spann.
Otis Spann,
Yeah.
who was like, that is one of my favorite piano players. That's gotta be incredible. And Otis Spann played with Muddy Waters.
And with Muddy Waters. Yeah, he was like, we went and we got Mammer Jammers with Muddy Waters. Which is a Philadelphia thing, I guess. Maybe an old Philadelphia thing. He was a house band for this club in Philly. And he had this band called Sweet Stave and Jane. And I guess they were pretty good. Unfortunately, there's no recordings that I could find. But he got to meet like a few pretty awesome people, and he blues. He was like, what was cool about playing blues is that he could just learn a few things and do them really well, and he was set. You know.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
And as long as it's as long as you're singing, you're great.
Yeah, it does, and really a lot of the times. It can be free form in the same way that Klezmer can.
Yeah.
To some extent. So then your parents were not necessarily raised on Klezmer music. They sort of got into it on their own through this revival that was happening. Is that true?
I think it's a mix.
Mix. Cool.
But in the 80s, Klezmer, and especially Klezmer music, apart from the big band Klezmer that was popular beforehand, kind of experienced a new life, and people were learning Yiddish and wanted to understand this music, and going back and trying to find old records and archives, and because a lot of the music was lost, and even finding people who were human carriers, people who knew just hundreds of songs that maybe could have been lost but for them. Cool. So I'm going to play just a really quick Klezmer tune, which is called Suckeriner Hora. It's what's cool about this song is that it goes from minor to major and back again, so, see if you can hear that. a little bit of that like sigh kind of
Yeah,
cracked
sure.
thing.
There was, and you were doing that in two different ways, maybe going from one, well, I don't know, I'm sitting here looking at it so I can figure it out.
Yeah. So
You're going from one string to another, but then you're also kind of sometimes sliding down with your finger.
So like old time music, you hear like Klezmer, you know, that's like we slide down. And it's because it's just that's the direction.
But can you hear that? Can you all hear that? Yeah, the note is going. Right? Yeah. It's a characteristic. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to play a little song. It's a ballad, and I'm playing because I want to. This is called Love Song from Night to Day. But like, see if you can hear a little bit of like experimentation with time. Yeah, here we go.
That you would get from Klezmer. Sure. This is an original.
Yes.
Okay.
break of day will break me. heart and demon's delight. Tell me I'm begging each time that the moon will not set and the sun will not rise. Let the break of day would wait for me. Day, wait for me.
That's a really, really pretty song. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, night and day, like, they can never have each other. So it's like a, you know, like, Orpheus and Eurydice, like, kind of, if you're wishing for the other one, you're wishing against time itself.
Whoa.
Time wins.
Time always wins.
That's so sad.
Yeah, but I love sad songs.
And that's okay.
Best song is a sad song.
That is okay. Best song is a sad song. A lot of sad songs in old time music.
Yeah.
Old times, bad times. Good times, not so good. So that is definitely we could hear the Klezmer influence a little bit. And, you know, your timing sped up. Sometimes it slowed down, just depending on the mood that you were trying to go for in the moment in time.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your experience with old time music, because there's definitely some folk Appalachian stuff that we can hear in there.
Yeah. So growing up in West Virginia, that was the music that was around me, and so I did some square dancing, and I did, we would go to festivals and hear old time music, mountain music, and I went to another camp called Bannerman Family Folk Dance Camp in North Carolina, which is the most wholesome place in the entire world. We'd go over Thanksgiving and we play, just like, that's where I learned how to square dance. And so that's just who I am. And I can't say that I'm very well versed in that music. I'm no expert, but it's in there.
Yeah, it's kind of in the air.
Yeah, and I like to think about like Hazel Dickens, because she was also West Virginian in Baltimore for a while, and such a constant theme of that music, especially West Virginia music, is being away from home, and being out of the mountains and wanting to go back.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll leave that alone.
Let's talk about Baltimore.
Oh yeah, well, so that brings me back to what I was thinking. So the second person that we had in the Songster series is actually from Pittsburgh, but she mostly grew up in West Virginia, Queen Earth. Everybody know Queen Earth?
Yeah, that's right.
And so she grew up in West Virginia also, and we started to talk about her country influence, and I asked, like, how'd you get into country? She said, I grew up in West Virginia.
Yeah.
it's there. You know, it's sort of in the air that you breathe, I guess. So, place means something.
West Virginia, the best Virginia. It's like, you know, things are slower, and people are nicer, and beautiful, beautiful mountain place that I was lucky to grow up in. And yeah, that's what I want to say about it.
How long have you been in Baltimore?
8 years in the city.
Yeah.
And then another 4 at Goucher.
Okay. Put in some serious time around
Yeah,
here.
right.
You're basically a Baltimorean.
Almost. I'm trying.
So you have a poem. You were a poet in college, right, at Goucher?
Yeah.
Well, I guess once a poet, always a poet.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I was a poet. I was studying poetry and with Beth Spires, and it was really a formative experience. And I wanted to write music, but I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't. Violin, which is my first love, is a melodic instrument, and so I find it hard to write. It's like you're writing against yourself. And so I took guitar class as a senior in high school for 6 weeks, and that's what started me on guitar. It was like a slacker class. But I actually went and played, I think the first song we played was like that Green Day song.
Time of my life.
Yeah, Time of My Life. Or that, and the second song we played was Country Roads.
Nice.
And I was really into it, and when I didn't play too much in college, I was playing ukulele, but I was learning how to write through poetry, which was really relevant, especially to learn how to revise, which to me is like cut everything that's not absolutely necessary, and like whatever your favorite thing is, like probably cut that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that that was my education and creative process, and how to even when I first started writing music, I would give myself like projects, like an assignment, like write a song that starts on a major chord and ends in a minor, or write a song that's about something that's not a person, or write
Practice songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's most of it too. If you get something good, that's great.
Right. Yeah.
And if you don't, then nobody ever has to hear it.
No. Yeah. So I didn't stop. I didn't stop writing, but I did. I wanted to bring this to the table. I went to so one of the Songster features before me was the incredible Lafayette Gilchrist, who, if you haven't seen him play, like definitely do that. He's a gem of the city, and
His experience.
And he's like, he has this way of like kind of speaking to the moment that I found really moving. And so I went when he did an album, The Blues for Freddie Gray, which was in response to the death of Freddie Gray, an innocent man in the hands of the police, which is as an artist, it's our job to speak of the moment. I think, or at least that's kind of how I
It's
did
a nice thing to do.
my charge, and so he just like did this, I was like really moved and transfixed being at this show where they were playing this whole album live, and during the show I wrote this whole poem, which is, you know, humbly my response. I haven't read for a long time, so this is going to be kind of rough, but just how I think we can respond to all different forms of art and expression in many different, in whatever like your language is. So, you know, like I can go to a museum and see a painting and write a song about it and how it made me felt. Or like certain songs for me are like this color. You know, it's like a little bit like synesthesia, but we're all talking to each other. So, here we go. Yeah? Okay. Oh, okay. The chaos we live each day, the suspension of disbelief we invoke to keep going, always keep going and never stop moving forward. And if you have a dream and it's not called money, crush it. The chaos moves forward. It tells you love for a day, bait and switch. 'Cause who knows if there's tomorrow, so beat your lips and turn your heel and hit that hot, hot drum. Today is your melted destiny, and tomorrow may never come. Here it is a crime to be black and crime less to be white. I drive 80, 85, pushing 90 around the beltway to see if I can get pulled over, and yet I am never stopped. I watch a kid pull over on a dirt bike. I watch him talking to the cop. I watch them like a hawk. He is let go. I ask, does he need a ride? He says no. We walk in the middle of the street because we don't have a car. There's snow in Baltimore, and so we are all neighbors, but when it's hot, we hold a gun to each other's head for $5 or a phone call or a fix. Click, click, click. When it's hot, we are all believers, and the system is very, very broken. We are dancing, we are a dead ballerina still turning, we are seagulls flying over a strip mall not so far from the sea, but we dare not swim. When you drive west on the 29th Street overpass in the spring, the hills are lit by thousands of daffodils on this park in an island cut off by the Jones Falls. Our Central Park in the outfield, and when you drive west at dark, there is a sunset like you never saw. There are children who sued the Baltimore City Housing Authority, sued and won, and they have not seen a dollar or a dime. They have lead in the lungs, lead on the brain, lead in their souls, and there are those who did not live to sue. And so it was, and so it always was, and so we do as we have always been told, no justice, no peace, none of these. There is something wrong, wait. There is beauty in the streets. There is beauty in the home. There is beauty in the toil. There is beauty. When there is nothing left, we celebrate. The party is the revolution, and we will keep turning, we will keep on, we will keep throwing our hair back, and we will keep dancing in spite of it. And because we are made of so much more, we are made of love, we are made of joy, we are made to be here on this earth, so we dance. If you keep turning, they cannot catch you. Your heart is burning 1,000 fires, and it cannot go out. The air is kindling, and we breathe together, and the beat of the drum keeps us moving together and apart forever and ever. We have that beat, and we will be. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was great. That while you were thinking that, I thought about one negative thing, which is the gun task force that is showing things that a lot of us citizens already knew. But it's sad to hear about anyway. Can we get a little clap for the ceasefire that happened this weekend? The successful ceasefire. Yeah. And it's easy to get cynical about that, but understand that you know, when someone is not, you know, shot, that is good, and, you know, in Baltimore, that needs to be celebrated. If that's sad, then maybe, you know, we ought to do something about how sad that is.
And so the ceasefire is a call, you know, from people, just regular people who live here, you know, just started by regular citizens. I mean, incredible people who said, let's call it, let's not kill each other for these days, and it's really beautiful movement. That's what I think our city should be up to. The Community Mediation Center, and call them out because they're fantastic, and Brooks, you know, sang the blues for Freddie Gray, so, you know.
Oh yeah.
Brooks is an incredible musician, and, you know, should be in my seat.
Your check's in the mail. I should mention that I was really honored to sing a few songs, including Blues for Freddie Gray, which is an amazing song. I think that Lafayette Gilchrist wrote, and I believe it was like the first song, like music and lyrics, that he ever wrote. Man. He had a grand slam the first time, and it was a really necessary song. So it's on an EP called New Urban World Blues. You can find it on all the things. Go find it. I'm singing on there, and so is Nabasha Dea as well, and she's amazing. So, back from that commercial break.
No, that's not that's a show. Trucker Talk is the premier puppet band in Baltimore City. I have it on good authority.
One of the best names I think I've ever heard of for a band.
The name actually came before my time, but that it was, you know, as I was hooked.
That's understandable.
And like, I don't want to totally. So like the point for me is like doing this, like being here, is a part, you know, is a part of the work of the revolution, you know. Like, it's so easy to go to your job and go home and watch TV and go to your job, you know, and like we get sucked in and we're working more and more, and, you know, we, like, the artists are getting paid less and less, and there's, you know, not that we do it for the money, but you gotta live. And so, you know, when I talk about like this puppet show band, which is like, we put this show together called The Motherlode, which the next one's May 30th, right? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Down at the Wind Up Space, the puppets are built out of trash, and it's just like it's like pure. There's no reason to do this show except that we want to talk about things that are important and have fun and with puppets. What's better than puppets, right? So, Trucker Talk is this, we started out, we play for puppet shows, we play a little bit of everything. It's a kind of experimental quartet with, I'm playing violin, we have saxophone, electric bass, and keyboard drums. Working on a lot of exciting projects in the next few months. So you gotta keep it fresh. And I feel like even just for people putting time into this thing is like, we're doing it, you know? Alright, so I'm gonna play this other song.
Yeah, so this is a chorus also.
Yeah. This song is another, like, I wrote this song, I didn't even notice, but it's in 2 different time signatures, which is probably because I live Klezmer music. And then I had to think about it starting again, but you never feel a hurt like I did. Things were better, it was summer, and I said I love her. I don't ever even understand about the same plan. But you turned and walked at the right time. Every day I don't call, make you more going like we never heard. Parties, things were getting started, till when she showed up again, all up in my mind. I was waiting at the window, I was putting on another coat of my lip gloss, taking my time. But you turned and walked at the right time. Every day I don't call, I'll make you more mine. Out on the rooftop, watching the stars die. Don't know why my eyes are bright. This'll be the last time. But you turned and walked at the right time. Every day I don't call, I'll make you more and then I had to think about it starting again, but you never feel a hurt like I did.
This is going to be a good record that you guys are coming into.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit like obsessed with this idea of like, why do we want what we can't have, and you know, like the like the back of someone is like the part that makes you want them again.
The back?
Like, you know, like they like the kind of like this. You know, like when someone like is leaving, you're like, oh shit.
Sometimes.
I don't know.
It's not like that.
Sometimes it's not like that.
But sometimes.
But
yeah.
sometimes it is like that. And it's like a quirk of human psychology or something. I don't know. You know, like you don't want like the thing that you have is, you know, I mean, a cat is like the best embodiment. They always, you know, like you're like, come here, cat, you know, and they're like, no.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I see what you want. Well, you're not going to get it.
But you're like, you know, I'm really busy right now. I'm trying to do all this stuff, and they're like, hey, I wanna be with you. So that song is about cats.
So let's talk about your Broadway influences. That went. There's so many people here. Nobody got that shit.
No, I
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Voltarian.
I don't know it at all. Absolutely.
A great show.
Yeah. What I actually want to talk with you about is I want to come back to your rock influences. So you had a neighbor, a friend named Emily.
Oh yeah, my friend.
Tell me about Emily.
Yeah, so I had, some people like, so I was growing up in like listening to Klezmer music and listening to like the Gypsy Kings and listening to like, Tex-Mex, like music from all over the world. We were not listening to Eric Clapton. Like, we were,
That's so sad.
well, but I was a little bit clueless, and so I started listening to WBAQ to try to like get with the times, and it was terrible. And I had a friend, I had like, I feel like maybe some other people like have like this person who like, she was like, let me show you the way, and she made me like all these mix CDs, and I, I guess I heard, like indie music, and I was like, oh yeah, this is how I feel.
Stuff like what?
No one understands me. And like, it's like good and bad, and like bright eyes. That's not it. It's true. We were there, right? Yeah.
I did see a Bright Eyes show.
So, like, I wish that I was you. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, she introduced me to the Shins, but also who I still love, and the Doors, and I remember the first time I remember sitting in creative writing class, like the first time my friend Kyle like passes me his Discman, and he's like, "You really gotta hear this," and I was like, "Okay." And it was Nick Drake, Pink Moon, and I was like floored. Like it was like one of the most powerful listening experiences. Cause Nick Drake.
How old were you when you were listening to Nick Drake?
17.
Oh,
That's about right?
Yeah, that's good. I'd be worried if it was like, 11 or 12.
Yeah, 11 or 12 I was probably listening to like Otis Redding.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great.
You're cooler than I was.
And also like Debbie Friedman, who was pioneer of new Jewish liturgical music. It was not that cool. And also like in sync, because I was trying to be cool and I wanted to know what was going on. Yeah.
Just a couple things.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I was supposed to mention my first CD
your first CD?
was Monica, The Boy Is Mine. Which to this day is a great album, and my neighbor told me that it should be my first CD, and so I got it, and it was. I listened to it a lot of times.
That's that one definitely. So it has "The Boy Is Mine" on there, which is the banger. But then there's also there's another song on there. I have to go through the whole verse to get there. We were just chilling, watching some TV. Thought he was coming too close, then it got to me. Had to be open to some satisfaction. Didn't want to say yes.
I know it was wrong,
Feeling this way, especially the thought of getting kissed on the first day. Couldn't let go, it stayed out of my mind. At the end of the night, I had to decide. I was thinking
I should make a move, but I won't.
This man, it takes a while to get to the chorus. This part, I never do that. But not the first night.
But not the first
That's it. That's the song. Thank you for that. Yeah, it took a while. Yeah, but that was like one of my favorite songs. And it turned out they sampled Diana Ross for that Love Hangover. Oh yeah. That's a really good one. That was her disco days. Anyway. So, speaking of disco,
Yeah.
We've got one more song, and we have a guest.
Yeah. Oh, right. So, okay. So.
This isn't disco at all. I'm sorry.
This is not disco. So I want to like kind of show you what we do, what I do, which is like very. So like to write a song, like there's only so many chords, and most of them are 1, 4, 5, which is. Sorry, nerdy joke. But like we are using the same things over and over and again, and so like I'll take an idea straight from another song and be like, I'm gonna make this my song, or I'll write a song and be like, yeah, that's so good and original, and then I'll be like listening to something and I'll be like, oh, no, that's the Beatles, or like that's. Monica. Exactly.
Sometimes it's Monica.
So like I and I hear things I like and I learn how to do them. That's how I learn how to play guitar. So like I heard this like Avett Brothers song, who I was into, and they're great. That's a really nice thing. I'm gonna take that. And I made a totally different song out of it, or I stole it. So, cards on the table, that's what we, it doesn't come out of nowhere,
but
at least for me.
That's kind of an organic, yeah, you can come on up.
Come on. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's sort of the organic flow of songs, one song becomes a different song, and maybe somebody forgets the words, and then they make up new words. Somebody forgets the melody, and they make up a new melody, and these things just grow and change. It's okay.
And sometimes, sometimes it's like, oh, I'm talking, like, I want to talk to this person, so you call them out, like, I have like maybe you'll catch it, like a Bob Dylan, like a kind of like homage lyric in here. This song I used to play with a band that I had called Sweet Sarah, and Nellie, give it up for Nellie, everybody. Nellie and I played this together, and so it's a privilege to get to play it again. Ready? Oh yeah.
Actually, I had no idea you stole this from the Abby Brothers.
Does that change things?
This is the VH1 behind the music right now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Folks, thank you so much for coming out to the Songster series. We hope you come again on March 6th. Everybody say March 6th.
March 6th.
March 6th, we have another amazing Songster series with Kristen B. Anybody know Kristen B? Well, you'll get to know her because you can say hello if you want because she's right there. Hey, Kristen. So Kristen is an amazing talent. She's a wonderful singer, songwriter. She started off on acoustic guitar, and she has transitioned from that into just creating on the spot loops on her loop station that will just blow your mind. So we're going to talk about how she got from here to there and everything up, down, and in between. We hope you enjoy that. But for right now, give it up one more time for Abby Becker. And again, the recording of the first song comes out when?
April 28th.
April 28th. And the album releases where?
At the Mercury Theater.
At the Mercury Theater.
Also, give it up for Brooks Long. I also have some sweet Sarah vintage limited edition CDs. If anyone wants one, I have a lot. Yeah. Also, I have a lot of friends and family in the room, and so thank you so much for being here. This really means a lot to me.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, folks. Grab another drink. You can stick around a little bit. Take care.